Hey everyone, I'm Mike. I'm an aspiring professional artist and welcome to my channel. If you've ever really wondered what you had to do in order to become a professional artist or what might be expected of you, then please watch this video because I'm going to be talking about my journey. I've been drawing for 5 years now and how I've gotten prepared to become a professional artist. I'm also going to update you on where I'm at in my journey. Alright, let's get started. My initial goal was to become a published manga artist. I wanted to create a manga or a story that would help kids who struggle with issues of not feeling like they fit in or not really understanding their identity. I wanted them to be able to relate to something. So this goal has evolved into me wanting to become a professional artist in the gaming industry so I can make a steady income and continue to work on that aforementioned manga. The first thing that I learned was to be positive, really positive about what your goal actually is. Things are going to shift as you grow because with growth comes change, and that's okay. But if you're going to be a mangaka or a professional in some other capacity, you want to mark that goal down. If you're just going to draw to be drawing, and there's nothing that you're actually working towards, it's hard to know what to draw in order to become a professional or to actually succeed at art. Next, I want to talk about realistic expectations. Improving in art is not a sprint, it's a marathon. People who are professionals are drawing or creating about 8 hours a day during the work week. This means they are consistently doing the thing that you want to be doing it and doing it exactly as it needs to be done for around 40 hours. Now this doesn't mean that you yourself have to practice for 40 hours a week in order to have a chance, but it does mean that there are no shortcuts. You're not going to find a single video, book, or course that will give you all of that knowledge and skill in a matter of weeks or months. This is going to take you years to get to the level of professionalism that would allow you to actually get a career path or a job. The shortcut is to hone in on what you really want to do and learn the fundamentals of that particular topic or profession. For instance, if you want to be a mangaka, you will want to have a fundamental understanding of perspective, character design, shape and form, gesture, environments, shading, and storytelling. Another topic that is important to think about is the blend of practice and application. I'm going to butcher this name, so I apologize, but Secra just put a video up on YouTube last week that I felt was fantastic, and it was on this topic. It was called the practice trap. Don't fall into that trap like I did. Don't just practice random things every day because you don't feel like you're good enough. Don't create a comic or manga as a practice comic or manga because that's just a losing mentality. Whether you tell yourself you are good enough or you say that you are not, you're going to be right. I'm going to say that again. Whether you tell yourself that you are good enough or you say that you are not, you're going to be right every time. There are more than enough limiting factors in this world already. You do not want to be another limiting factor on yourself. In his video, he talked a lot about practicing and how for some people, picking specific topics and practicing those things does help them grow, but for him it didn't. I kind of feel the same way about myself. The best way to learn and grow in art is to, yes, practice the fundamentals, but then use those fundamentals in a project that is your best effort. Each project should be you trying to create your best work for the goal that you intend to accomplish. Prior to doing the art school program with the feedback, I would always say things to myself like, I don't have the skill to do that yet, or I'm not really good enough to do a publishable comic or manga quite yet. Since I started the feedback program, I've benefited from the most growth I've ever had in a 1-year period. And this is because my mentality shifted. Every time I create a character, I'm in the mindset of, this is the one that will garner attention. This is the one that will get me hired. Even if it's not quite there yet, which I'm not quite there yet, I'm at least not holding myself back anymore by not attempting and just practicing. If you want to get better at creating a manga, for instance, you have to create manga. Every day that you're not doing it is a day that you're falling a little bit behind. Now, that's not to say that the practice and things like gesture drawing and character creation that help you get ready for a manga isn't helpful or won't help you, but you can't learn sequential art just by doing figures that are in motion doing random things, but rather figures in motion doing a story, right? Doing an action. Now, to go along with this point, it also doesn't mean that you get stubborn either, which brings me to this. Art is not a skill that you learn once and you're done, or you hit a certain level and then you're good to go. Art is an ongoing practice. The moment you say, I made it, I don't have to learn anymore, is the moment your art career starts to die. The reason is because artists strive to do something that is extraordinarily difficult. We're attempting to create worlds or characters that real-life people can relate to and even become lost in. In order to accomplish this goal, you can't stop learning, or you can't feel like you don't have to learn anymore. If you think about some of the best anime out there, the reason why they are so great is because of the love and care put into every aspect of the work. One of the stories that I talked about before, and I did actually a bit of a fan art for, is actually Redline. Redline is a beautiful example of people pouring their heart into a story and into animation, and the result is just so beautiful and it's so encapsulating. I like every time I watch it, it's like I'm on a different planet, and that is beautiful. People are teleported, just like I was, to a different space as they read or watch stories. They root for fictional characters, they fall in love with magic systems, and they become invested in relationships that are completely imaginary because the creator was willing to learn and grow. You don't learn, for instance, what's in an engine just by looking at an engine. You learn what's in an engine by looking at all the separate parts, how they fit together, what happens when the engine is in motion. There's a lot of artists out there that are some of the best artists that'll tell you how much studying goes into art. So be open to the idea that you're never really done learning. The more open you are to that, the more likely you are to succeed at your goals. I don't want to, harbor on this story too much, but I do want to share one story really fast about this very topic. I'm not going to say any names, but there's an artist that I have contact with every once in a while, and they said something along the lines of, I don't need to practice that anymore, I'm past it. At some point, this mindset will stunt their growth and people around this person will move past them. This type of mindset often creates confusion for that person when others achieve more than they do in the same field. And they're like, but like my art is great, right? I've already gotten past that point. I should be succeeding even more. That doesn't happen unless you're open and humble. Alright, I wanted to show you some of the work that I've done in the past year. I can't really share my finished works yet, but I can share with you some of the gestures that I've done and things of that nature. So, if I go into this folder, this is like my virtual sketchbook. You can see I have all of these for 2021, and then I have all of this for 2022, and I believe that there's more. I think that there's a bunch on my iPad that's no longer on this computer from prior to 8.1. So the reason why I wanted to show you this is because each one of these sessions that you see on here, each one of these Clip Studio Paint docs that you see on here is the equivalent of probably like anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour of gesture drawing. So that's a lot of time put into this, right? And I do want to show you, before I move forward with my discussion on this, I do want to show you the improvements that this has given me, right? So if you look here, this one I believe is from like 12/28 of 2021. I have a 1 minute sketch, 2 minute sketch, and then a 5 minute sketch here, right? So I want you to look at the 5-minute sketches, and then this is one of my more recent ones. I actually think that these, which are, these might be a minute and a half. It's either a minute and a half or 2 minutes. I think that these are better than these, right? Which is just crazy because it's taken me half the time to get something that's equivalent or better. And in this case, again, I would say better. So I just wanted to show that because I also wanted to talk about how much work you actually have to put in, or how much work you should be thinking about putting in if you want to improve at a steady pace and you know, make a career out of this. So I've practiced gesture drawing for at least 2 hours a week for the past year. I've also drawn something every day for the past 3 years. Even if it was just a few heads or bodies, I would say that I spend at least 10 hours a week drawing something. Some weeks it's actually probably closer to about 20 hours, which I actually prefer. I typically draw for about an hour before bed every night on my iPad, and then I spend about 3 to 8 hours on the weekends each day working on finished pieces. But the thing that's the most difficult about this is I know that there are people out there that are able to work longer than I am for various reasons. So I've tried to dedicate my time to practicing what will help me succeed in the field, which is called intentional practice. My advice for those of you out there who are younger, or those of you even who want to do something like this, is you want to have your goal, like I said earlier in the video, and you want to be working on things, finished pieces that are going to help you succeed at that goal that you have, help you work on that goal that you have. But for those of you who are younger, take the time now to practice as much as you can before you become an adult and have to get a job of some sort, right? Because it's both frustrating and exhausting to work on these lofty goals that I have, for instance, while also doing 40 to 60 hour work weeks to make sure I have money to put food on the table, right? Do yourself a favor, put the time in now. The other thing that I will say about this kind of schedule is if you don't enjoy spending this much time drawing, then that's probably a good indication that the profession isn't really meant for you, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you should stop drawing, but it just means that drawing is going to probably fit better as a serious hobby rather than a career path. And that's perfectly fine. You can still make money and have a lot of fun doing art as a really serious hobby and not feel so stressed about whether or not it's going to be something that you lose a passion for if you go down the path of doing it as a career. So, on to the next topic. So, where am I at in my journey? I think I'm close. The reason why I say this is because Mark has told me that he feels some studios would hire me, but he's trying to push me to be hired at the larger studios like Riot, Blizzard, or Epic Games or something along those lines. Though I still have some more time to go, maybe about a year or so before my dream is realized, I feel as though I'm getting close to the start of my journey as a professional artist. For becoming a published mangaka, I feel that only time will tell. I think my skill set is about what it needs to be. It's more of the storytelling parts of it that I really have to commit to and figure out. I'm going to start working on my passion project this year and see if somebody would be willing to pick it up later on down the road. But if they don't, I'm still okay with that, because my main goal is to reach children that need to be reached, need to be connected with, and help them figure out a little bit more about themselves and about their identities. Whether I get published or not is just kind of icing on the cake to me. But I'm really, really excited to push forward and move into the next phase of my dream. And I do also want to thank all of you for being here to support me and motivate me. Alright everybody, that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope that you enjoyed everything about it. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it was both motivating and a little bit eye-opening for some of you. Again, after 5 years of work, I'm still not quite there, but I've enjoyed this process, and that's the main thing, right? If you're not enjoying it, don't do it, right? You don't have to push yourself into doing something you don't like just because you think it's a good idea. Do the things you enjoy in life, right? Our lives are too short not to. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope it was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one.